I'm really excited today to be interviewing one of our Lead the Change graduates, Jo Turner. Now, Jo is a physiotherapist. She has a holistic practice that she runs. She's a mum of two teenage kids and really a beacon inside the One of Many community in terms of how we can step up and contribute. And I'm really excited to be having a chat today. So Jo, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us.
Pleasure.
So why don't you start by letting the ladies know where you were kind of pre One of Many, what you were up to in the world at that time?
Well, I was running my clinic then. I've been running it for 10 years, fairly happily. I'd say I was ticking along. I wasn't in Superwoman, but I had been in the past. I probably came to Lead the Change more looking for how to step up. I had this big sense that there was something bigger and I wanted to contribute more, and I just didn't feel like I was contributing everything I could at that time, and I think that's why I was drawn to Lead the Change.
And what did you see, like in your actual Lead the Change year, were some of the major transformations that you were able to create for yourself?
One of the major ones was trust in other people. It was quite a realization to understand that whilst I respected people and I wanted the best for them and I encouraged them, I didn't genuinely trust them to help sometimes. And I don't know why. And I got out of the habit of ever asking, because I just assumed that, yeah, I could get on with stuff and do stuff, but you couldn't really ask other people and you couldn't really expect them to. And through working on big and small projects with other women through Lead the Change, I just realized, wow, people step up and they do see what I see, and they're there to help, and it feels really good when they do. So trust other people, but also trust in myself. That probably comes more into when we're talking about what's happening now. But I think throughout Lead the Change, I learned to trust that my instincts are often pretty good, and it's okay to go with them even when you're not 100% sure why.
And I know that's really, it's really been a big part of what's driven the Lead the Change project that you and many other of the One of Many graduates have kind of got behind. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that? I think that's important.
So we're trying to support NHS workers. At the moment, they just need support to get through day to day. But the longer term is about culture change, and it's about getting them to the point where they're not just better, they've really got that voice to step up and be heard and be seen, and maybe even to expose themselves and speak their truth, which in the health professionals is something that there's an awful lot of fear around. So it's a really nice theme that goes through the whole process, really. We eventually, that grew, and then a steering group of 8 just sort of emerged, really, and we ended up working together on strategy. And I think that was really where, for me, collaboration started to kick in. And there was another realization around it. And I'm not at all embarrassed to say that was, I am not the best at a lot of tasks. There are women with phenomenal talents in things that I'm not only not good at, but I actually hate as well. So to be able to go, oh, what, you don't mind doing that, you're good at it, and you enjoy it? Fine, go for it. And so within that group of 8, we really, without talking about it, we've had very distinct periods where certain people have stepped up to lead. We seem to have this kind of rolling leadership going at the moment.
It's beautiful, because you guys had the idea for that NHS project, you know, from that culture change perspective early on, you know, having so many NHS women inside of One of Many, it was such a clear calling. And then just as it was coming to fruition, we meet COVID-19 and everything. And so you guys have just responded so nimbly to the calling there, which I think is extraordinary. And this collaborative leadership, not leadership by a committee where everybody has to agree, but watching, I love that sense of watching, okay, who's best to take the lead here in this piece, or who's best positioned here. Such a great lesson, which we can then apply in our businesses and in our families and in our wider communities. That's so powerful. And how are you noticing at a personal level, Jo, you're able to respond to these incredibly challenging times?
My initial response, quite honestly, was raw and real. I was scared. scared for the future of my business, scared for the people that work for me. And I think I was able to move through that quickly, because what I've learned through one of many is to feel it. So I cried. I frequently walked into my husband's office and said, right, this is a moment where I need you to hug me and I need to cry because I'm feeling the fear again. That happens many times through the first few days. And
I think that's happening in quite a few households around the country.
Yeah,
right?
he just got to realise that he just had to hug me and watch me cry and rant. And he gave me a great bit of advice, actually. He said, don't hold on too tight. And that's been really important with the business. So in terms of the tools, I would say I felt the fear. Yes, I used some Warrior S to get into action. But there's been a lot of Queen with my team. I'm a heartfelt leader anyway. My team know my vulnerabilities. They knew that before, and I was always happy to share. But I think I've stepped up in Queen a lot more in this time of COVID, because I realized sometimes they just need to hear me say it's going to be okay. And we put this in place, we put that in place, we can see this far ahead, this is how it's going to work. And then for me, a little bit of sorceress, that actually I don't know exactly how it's going to work, but I trust that with the team that I've got, with the way they've stepped up, with the feedback we're getting from our clients, that we're doing the right thing for them, we will be okay.
It's so important, isn't it? That sense of faith that we can access at the moment. Really powerful. And I think you've spoken to some really powerful leadership distinctions there, Jo, for me. One is knowing in yourself that it's going to be okay, that you have that resilience and that resourcefulness inside. It's got to start there. Then that ability to share a plan and a direction that we don't know how it's all going to be, but this is the horizon we can see right now, and sharing that plan clearly so that people can see we're moving somewhere, and partnered with that vulnerability, that authenticity or empathy, that able to be human with our team. You know, I think those three things they're almost like the holy trinity, I think, of leadership right now, and I think that's what's powerfully working.
I got this really strong message at the start. Okay, you're going to go into this lockdown period. It's going to be like nothing you've ever known before. One of your greatest risks is wasting the opportunities that it will provide for you. And I still feel that, but I think the fact that message has been there from the start is keeping me steady, is keeping me aware. So I just have to keep reminding myself.
Oh, look, Jo, thank you so much for taking some time to chat to us today, and thank you for being such a steady example of how we can approach challenging situations, but from a very centered place. I think you're doing a great job. Thank you.
Thank you.